The most successful people are often those who have fallen the most. What truly matters is that you know how to stand up after each fall. Don't keep lying there, lamenting your fate, waiting for someone to reach out a helping hand. Your life is determined by you alone. The path you walk is the one you choose. If you cannot stand up after stumbling, then don't expect a smooth journey ahead. Life is full of promises, even amid the storms. Yet many things in this world can blind you to your own situation. You may not see that you are trapped in a vicious cycle, unable to recognize the wounds left behind after every conflict, unable to see the peace hiding behind all the bustling splendor. You may not even see the road ahead in this lifetime, filled with exhaustion and weariness, unable to find true joy or genuine warmth, unable to recognize sincere affection in the vast sea of humanity. Many people believe they understand themselves best, yet the truth is often the opposite. Seeing clearly into the deepest part of one's own soul is the hardest thing to do. If you keep clinging to regrets, the mistakes, the successes of the past, if you cling to illusions, hollow victories, applause that has already faded, your entire life will be filled with torment. People are easily haunted by their past, especially when recalling the beautiful days they once had. We cling to memories even when they become nothing more than mist. We cling to unfinished dreams even when the chance is gone. We cling to the applause of past triumphs even when all of it is merely vanity. Living in constant regret means you will never know peace. Yesterday is just a passing rain. No matter how long it rains, it eventually stops. Yesterday is like a book. Once read, it eventually ends. Clinging to the past means continuing a life of endless sorrow. Often, you must accept that some things cannot be restored, that some mistakes can never be taken back. To cling to the past is to cast a dark, heavy cloud over your present and your future. If you cannot release it, such thoughts will gradually poison your soul, leaving you restless every day. Being unable to let go of people and things that have already left, unable to release the guilt of past mistakes, is like carrying a heavy stone while walking a journey of 10,000 miles. Painful and exhausting. Letting go is not only about releasing material possessions or wealth. It is also about letting go of sorrow, worry, and inner burdens. Letting go is a path the Buddha taught so that one may cleanse worldly dust and return to the pure, kind nature within. As said before, refusing to release is like a traveler who must journey far yet insists on carrying a heavy stone. How could one reach life's destination with such weight? Life often requires a moment of stillness to hear the flowers bloom, to observe the gentle trembling of leaves. Don't assume that just because you cannot have someone, they will always remain unforgettable. A fish cannot live without water, but water without fish is far more at ease. What is meant to come will come. Those who wish to leave will leave. Don't resist and don't cling. Don't exhaust yourself chasing those who are merely beautiful. Cherish those who make your life more beautiful. If you give your full heart to your work each day, everything will eventually become a cherished memory. Receive whatever happens with a peaceful mind. Treat those who wrong you with tolerance, and life will naturally become lighter. Cherish every experience, big or small, because tomorrow, when you look back, you will realize that each one carried great significance. Many beautiful things come from patience, not force. Have endurance if you don't want to disappoint your own happiness. If two people are truly meant to be, neither time nor distance can hinder their bond. But if fate is absent, even meeting will lead to separate paths. Perhaps one must walk many roads, experience glory and hardship in order to truly grow. When you can see through a person without speaking, you understand the meaning of forgiveness. When you dislike someone yet remain calm, you grasp the essence of respect. A person becomes mature not merely by age or travel, but through the many things they have quietly endured. Because they know when to let go or be tolerant to reduce needless struggle for victory. There are wounds that do not heal because we ignore them, but because we understand that only by quietly facing them can they recover on their own. Everyone carries different degrees of pain within. It is not that the past no longer hurts, but that they know speaking about it cannot solve anything, only makes them feel weaker. No matter how many terrible things life holds at the moment, one must still have the courage to face them. Do not think about avoiding reality, nor should you curse or resent it. There is no obstacle in life that cannot be overcome. Each person has joys and sorrows that must be transformed, happiness and suffering that must be confronted. Birth is an event already decided. To live means we must choose how to be. Once you understand this principle, you will find your own way, too. I believe that sometimes a relationship ends not because we have changed, but because the bond between us has faded. Stories that once went on endlessly now come to a close. The warmth that once existed belongs only to yesterday. Emotions that have passed remain only in the past. It is not that someone has suddenly become cold, nor that we have burned the bridge behind us. It is simply that those silent promises we once shared no longer exist between us. I also believe that everyone is both selfishness and generosity. A person sheds tears because something hurts. Someone hurts because they care. Someone cares because they have feelings. And they have feelings because they are human, capable of caring, hurting, and crying. The fact that you have felt pain and shed tears proves you are a complete human being. So when you feel exhausted, forgive yourself, for we are all just ordinary people. You do not need to pretend to be unbreakably strong. No matter how harsh life becomes, keep going, because the more effort you give, the more success you will receive. When time passes and you look back on your journey, you will realize that in this vast sea of people, every encounter is a beautiful destiny that I end life. There is no unfairness, only biased hearts. There is no need to resent or hate. Just do your best in the present, and everything big or small will gradually fade into the past. A person's lifespan may be long or short, but what matters is what we accomplish while living. Life is full of rough paths. Remember to let those beside you feel a bit of warmth, for each day we spend with someone is one day fewer we will have with them. The time we get to meet one another grows shorter with each passing day. Every life is only one, whether long or brief. Each day connects to the next, whether full of joy or sadness. Each stage of life has its own way of walking, whether advancing or retreating. No one is perfect. No job is flawless. When encountering petty people, do not overcalculate, for doing so only invites more trouble. When facing complicated matters, do not overthink them, for thinking too much only exhausts you. The world is vast, and people's hearts are chaotic. How can we not meet pettiness? The dust of life is deep and fickle. How could we not encounter sorrow? Time turns, years change. Do not complain, do not lament, do not grieve, do not scheme. Keep your heart tranquil and walk gently along your path. Treasure sincere feelings, preserve a positive state of mind. Think moderately, see things more openly. When wronged, stay calm, let it dissolve, and afterward you may smile lightly. If there is no sunlight, listen to the wind and watch the rain fall. If there are no fresh flowers, breathe in the scent of the fields. If there is no applause, appreciate the quiet. When you need restraint, take a deep breath to reset the atmosphere. When facing difficulty, stay calm, think it through, and shift your perspective. When you fail, work hard to begin again so you may regain confidence. Learn to face yourself. Open your heart to life and practice forgiving mistakes so each day passes peacefully. Be humble in your actions and sincere in your dealings, for everyone hopes for a return ticket to childhood. As children, we were innocent and easily delighted. Happiness came effortlessly. Now, the older we become, the more loneliness we feel, the more burdens we carry, and the harder it is to be truly happy. Then for whom did we change? From cheerful, innocent children into hardened, irritable, and unhappy adults? For no one but ourselves, for we stubbornly clung to things and placed masks upon our own hearts that a pair of distorted glasses with holes through which we look at life as if imagining the world the way we did when we were young, when we viewed everything with pure, untainted eyes. But now, time has taken away that clarity, as though each of us is forced to wear a pair of blotched, uneven lenses stained with colors. The rapid development of society keeps pushing us along endless debates of right and wrong about life and other people. We tend to look at things we like and those we love through rosy lenses, and in contrast, view the things we reject and the people we dislike through dark, distorted ones. When we're in a joyful state of mind, we see people and events with ease and leniency. We can smile at the playful mischief of children, patiently listen to an unpleasant story, and accept things that once seemed impossible. In those moments, it feels as though the entire world is filled with harmony. Yet, just a small wave of worry rising within, fears of the past or uncertainties of the future disturbing the heart, is enough for us to suddenly notice piles of trash on others' heads. Favorable connections do not come from well-arranged meetings, but from the steady acceptance of two people. If there is real affinity, then neither time nor distance is a problem. But if affinity has faded, even meeting every day becomes meaningless. People often say we only realize what we had after losing it. In truth, we always knew what we had. We simply assumed it would never be lost. Living simply brings joy, yet so few live joyfully. Being overly complicated only burdens the heart, and yet those who suffer seem to fill the world. So many troubles come from overthinking, hesitation, and lack of decisiveness. Therefore, when something must be embraced, do not hesitate. When something must be released, let go. Only by ending what needs to end can we begin what needs to begin. Make time to appreciate even the smallest things in life, for someday you will look back and realize they were truly significant. Certain moments only reveal their value once they have become memories. Often, when you give your all, people may not care, but the moment you stop trying, they suddenly notice. Sometimes the heavens withhold what you desire not because you are unworthy, but because something better is preserved for you. Life is like a piano. White keys are joy, black keys are sorrow. But remember, only when both are played together does music come alive. If you never challenge yourself with hardship, you can never grow. A person who has walked many paths and resolved countless unexpected problems matures quickly. No matter how ordinary your life is, you must face it. Do not avoid or resent it. Time keeps moving. People come and go in the bustle of the world. Do not lose the chance to make your life meaningful. Some matters persist, not because we care too little, but because caring more changes nothing. Some things become the past the moment they are clearly defined. Some people, after a few days of resentment, become nothing more than distant memories. Some pains dissolve into bubbles the moment we laugh. Some circumstances forge resilience through a touch of suffering. Between people, distance can grow or shrink. Between events, complexity can rise or fade. Between hearts, affection may deepen or become shallow. Do not expect others to treat you in extraordinary ways, nor hope they will abandon their own calculations. In life, some speak little but do much, while others only make noise without action. Do not trouble yourself over it. Just tend to your own path. Do what needs to be done. Walk where you must walk. Uphold kindness. Nourish sincerity. Be gentle with others, but strict with yourself, and leave the rest to destiny. Your sorrow comes from a heart that clings too tightly and is not yet generous enough. Your anger comes from wishing the world to follow your will and from lacking the breath to accept it. Your sadness arises from a mind not yet positive enough. Your worry stems from a spirit not yet open enough. Your heartbreak is born from a will not yet strong enough. You feel envy because you have not yet become outstanding enough. You feel desire because you have not yet understood the impermanence of life. Every kind of affliction originates from within ourselves, and every time these emotions appear, it is an opportunity for us to return to observe our inner mind, to recognize our shortcomings, and then strive to transform them. In this way, through afflictions, we become more complete each day. In the past, there was a wealthy man whose family fortune was immense, yet every day his worries were as numerous as his riches. His neighbors were a tofu-making couple who lived beside him. There's an old saying that the three most exhausting professions in life are ironworking, boat rowing, and tofu making. Yet this tofu-making couple lived and worked with great joy. Their singing and laughter echoed from morning until night, reaching the ears of the wealthy man. One day, the wealthy man's wife asked her husband, "We have so much money, yet why are we not as happy as the tofu-making couple next door?" The wealthy man said, "I will make it so that tomorrow, even if they want to laugh, they won't be able to." Late that night, the wealthy man threw a bar of pure gold into the neighbor's courtyard. The next day, the neighbor's house fell completely silent. It turned out they were busy making plans about the bar of gold that had fallen from the sky. They felt they had become rich. The hardship of making tofu was no longer necessary. But if they used the gold to start a business and failed, what then? And if they did nothing, the gold would quickly be spent. The husband wondered whether, if business prospered, he should take a young, beautiful concubine or simply divorce his old, coarse wife. The wife, meanwhile, was thinking that if she had known they would become wealthy one day, she would never have married this irritating tofu maker. Just yesterday, they were happily laughing together. Yet today, they no longer had the heart to speak joyfully. Worry began to consume their minds. What tortured them even more was the question of why heaven did not drop a few more bars of gold so they could fulfill all their desires immediately. This story teaches us that life originally has no affliction. But once the flame of desire is lit, afflictions will come knocking at the door of our heart. Life originally has no suffering, but when we begin to calculate gains and losses, greed arises, and suffering wraps itself tightly around us. In the end, the only person who can rescue us from suffering is none other than ourselves. Life places many burdens on us, yet we can always choose which burdens to carry and which burdens to put down. The only way to escape the entanglement of afflictive dreams is to awaken. The only way to forget all the misfortunes of life is to let go. The Zen master once said that knowing how to let go of these things is knowing how to live. Letting go of blaming life, letting go of the tendency to control others, letting go of the fear of hardship before even beginning a task, letting go of perfectionism and self-criticism, letting go of barriers that prevent you from changing, letting go of the desire to draw attention, letting go of the belief that you're always right, letting go of living by watching others and living just to be watched by others. So how many of these 8 things have we been able to let go of? In modern life, we often hear the phrase follow conditions or go with the flow. But how many of us truly understand what it means to follow conditions? Half of life consists of small fragments pieced together. Women are half angel and half devil. Men are half gentleman and half animal. Friends are half compatible and half deserving of respect. Marriage is half cultivation and half acceptance. Family is half giving and half receiving. Affection is half mutual exchange and half preservation. Husband and wife are half forgiveness and half care. Children are half innate nature and half upbringing. Parents are half filial piety and half closeness. Work is half fortune and half effort. Money is half joy and half worry. Life is half memories and half continuation. Happiness is half emotion and half knowing contentment. Dreams are half courage and half longing. Each life needs a touch of tenderness, and the rest requires a bit of calm. There is no need to cling to everything. When you are misunderstood, yet choose not to argue, that is wisdom. For time will reveal what is true and false more clearly than any explanation. When you are hurt but bear no resentment, that is kindness, for the warmth and coldness of the world will be proven by time. Good and bad qualities alike will be illuminated as the days go by. What sets people apart is not how much they can see through others, but how lightly they can regard what should be let go. A heart that is broad or narrow does not depend on how many people it knows, but on how many it can embrace. Accepting losses does not mean you will be deprived. Sooner or later, life will repay you with what you truly deserve. The one who yields loses nothing except pride and gains the hearts of others, becoming all the more respected. Open your heart to forgive, for life will inevitably present things that do not please you and people who do not align with you. If you cannot overlook and release them, you will live in exhaustion and annoyance. Different people have different knowledge, different beliefs, different levels of self-cultivation, so their ways of seeing and handling matters will not be the same. Conflicts and clashes are therefore natural. In such moments, forgiveness becomes a virtue, a practice, like an umbrella shielding you as you walk through storms. Forgiving others sometimes requires sacrifice, generosity, or small personal losses. But that is not weakness. It is simply making your own path wider and brighter. Life is like the sky. It cannot always stay clear to please you. Sometimes it will be overcast and burden your heart. Life cannot always hand you fortune and happiness either. At times it will make you taste bitterness and sweetness in turn. So open your heart, learn to let go, step past people and matters that bring you sorrow, and you will find yourself standing higher, seeing farther toward the edge of the horizon. Burdens of greed weigh heavily on the heart. When one values desires too much, they become overly concerned with the reactions of others. When expectations are not met, sadness follows. The greater the greed, the weaker the person becomes. Those who obsess over their own interests will calculate endlessly. The more they want, the more they fear loss. Much suffering arises solely from desire. If our greed becomes small, others cannot predict or exploit it. And if we eliminate greed, worries will have nothing to cling to and will naturally fade, leaving us at peace. When others praise you, being pleased for a moment is enough. Do not treat it as truth, for most praise is simply to win favor. Do not be deceived by sweet words. And when criticized, feeling sad for a moment is fine, but never respond with anger, for within criticism there is often something we can improve. Self-correction is always the priority. If life were truly filled with suffering, you would not have time to complain. If life were unbearably harsh, you would not have the strength to blame anyone. Because things have not yet reached the extreme, you still have the mood to lament. Wherever you are, at any time, remember, you live for yourself. As long as your actions do not betray your conscience, and you fulfill your own responsibilities, that is enough. Destiny comes from the heart. Choosing a path is choosing a future. Do not dwell too much on the past. Live fully in the present and look toward the future. Tomorrow will surely be brighter. Karma turns endlessly. Tormenting others only injures yourself. Envying others only belittles yourself. Admiring others without effort only wastes yourself. Hating others only disturbs yourself. Deceiving others only fools yourself. Breaking trust with others only harms yourself. Being entangled with others only burdens yourself. Obstructing others only traps yourself. Showing compassion brings joy to your own heart. Respecting others wins you respect in return. Being generous opens your own mind. Helping others makes your own goodness shine. Who would know that within a cup of tea lies the fresh, gentle fragrance of lotus? Who would know that in the endless wind drifts the breath of bright, youthful green? In your hands is a small sheet of paper, and on the quiet hill rests a single leaf. Who would know that in the wings of a lone bird is carried the longing of a heart far from home? Living in this transient world, all forms and shadows wander in the endless cycle of rebirth. Opening your palm beneath the setting sun, you see countless lifetimes returning. So who could truly be far from me? I and the world have never drifted apart. When you carry deep wounds, my soul feels compassion and willingly shares your pain. When you smile, my steps become light and free. Who would know that one warm, open heart can embrace all the hearts of the world? Oh, all those murmurs and whispers. Do you truly know what has happened in their lives, what kinds of hardships and torment they are enduring? Standing in your place or mine, we can never fully understand. What you see is only the surface. Do not be so quick to comment on others, because we do not have enough insight to comprehend the joys, sorrows, anger, or struggles of their lives, nor to truly empathize with their happiness or their pain. Everyone has their own standpoint, lives under different conditions, and carries different burdens, so it is difficult to fully feel what the other person feels. Therefore, do not carelessly criticize or comment in ways that bring them more hurt. A truly educated and cultivated person will use a kind, compassionate heart to help others become better, because in truth, that is also helping oneself. When we reflect on the hardships we once walked through, we begin to understand the hardships of others. When we think of the suffering we never let anyone see, we realize that other people's lives are the same, full of storms, just like ours. When we look back at how we overcame difficulties, we also learn how they struggled through their own, that a person who truly understands self-cultivation will understand the weight of language. It can be a blade, but it can also be a rose. Such a person knows not to judge anything from only their own point of view, because doing so only creates more wounds between people. Every flower is its own world. Every leaf holds its own realm. In reality, it is not difficult to achieve this. When we learn to understand and be tolerant of others, we find tranquility within our own hearts. There's a saying, happiness is not determined by money, power, or appearance. It is determined by how you treat others. If you want to be a joyful and happy person, begin by practicing tolerance. When we start to be more forgiving and live in the present, we learn to truly be present, to feel the small joys and quiet happiness that surround us. We learn to cherish each moment, to be grateful for what we have, and for what the universe has given to each of us, that a heart that carries too much will always feel tired. Every day we face countless displeasures, irritations, and situations beyond our control. If we could change them, that would be wonderful, but life does not always allow us to. So we must learn to become familiar with these things and accept them with a lighter heart. Learn patience, tolerance, and generosity. Try to look at your life and at others with more gentleness. A simple life is the happiest life. One who knows contentment is often joyful. Be generous. Be forgiving. Don't make everything too complicated. A heart cluttered with too many things will grow weary. Like clearing memory, we should regularly delete the people and situations that trouble our hearts. Some things, when gently let go, will make us feel free. Some people, even if remembered deeply, may not bring happiness. A little pain or bitterness ultimately only serves to temper and strengthen us. The uneven road of life trains us to remain calm through storms and to keep our smile bright. Be able to live even one more day is already a blessing. So treasure each day. Life is short, only a few decades long. Don't let yourself live with regret. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. A day passes whether you are sad or happy. Focusing on trivial things only disturbs both body and mind. Life is really about understanding and compassion, carrying joy in the heart, quietly softening it, slowly dissolving sorrow. Add a little happiness, lessen a bit of worry. Whether rich or poor, high or low in status, knowledgeable or not. As long as each day you can smile freely, even your tiredness will feel lighter. To live freely and at ease is to stop clinging to sorrow and resentment. For holding them only hurts ourselves while others still smile contentedly. Meanwhile, we grow older, our hair turns gray, and the leaves of time fall hurriedly. Life passes like a fleeting shadow. Why blame anyone? Why be troubled by the world's changes? Happiness comes from the feeling of joy. Lightness arises from our choices. Even simple matters, when overthought and overly calculated, become complicated and entangling. On the contrary, no matter how complex something is, if we learn to take it lightly and care less, it becomes simple and easy to resolve. Therefore, when facing certain situations, just smile. Don't take everything too seriously. There are people whose presence you simply need to acknowledge without caring further. If someone enjoys performing, let them perform. Exposing them brings no benefit. When someone insists they are right, just act as though you didn't see. No need to waste energy arguing. You are you. It doesn't matter who others are. As long as you're not ashamed before your own heart, that is enough. Living according to conditions is what makes life beautiful. In this world, many people, many events, and many chapters of emotion are not meant to be held on to. Simply smile and move forward. Be more open-minded, and you will learn more. Be more refined, and life becomes more beautiful. When you see clearly, you'll realize that losing some things brings more peace than gaining them. Enduring a moment of pain allows it to pass. Enduring a few annoyances helps resolve them. Enduring a few words makes you realize there is no need to argue. Enduring a few feelings may make you no longer want to continue them. Enduring a few people frees you from waiting in sadness. Those who truly love you will want to walk toward the future with you. Genuine affection doesn't need to be displayed everywhere. It remains silent yet steady through the years. To go with conditions means joyfully accepting whatever occurs in the present moment, ceasing resistance, and patiently waiting for the right conditions to gather. Often, this very attitude becomes the key factor that draws other positive conditions together that we should remember. For a single matter to succeed, countless conditions must align. If just one is missing, success becomes difficult. When we deeply understand this and gain experience, we naturally know what we should and shouldn't do so that good conditions gather again and negative ones fade away. We usually call good conditions favorable conditions, meaning beneficial circumstances. Adverse conditions are unfavorable conditions, meaning disadvantageous circumstances. Some conditions may be favorable to us, yet unfavorable to others, and vice versa. That is only in regard to human interactions, while conditions are constantly forming with all things throughout the universe. Their true nature is neither good nor bad. They simply arise and disperse according to the resonance between the energetic frequencies emitted by all beings. Yet many people have the habit of feeling delighted when experiencing favorable conditions and wanting them to last forever, while feeling uncomfortable with unfavorable conditions and trying to avoid or eliminate them. But favorable conditions do not always bring happiness, and unfavorable ones do not always bring suffering. Sometimes unfavorable conditions help us grow stronger, while favorable ones make us weak. Often, conditions that begin as favorable may turn unfavorable later on, and those that start as unfavorable may eventually become favorable. Whether conditions are favorable or not often depends on our own strength and attitude toward life. Thus, we do not need to anxiously change the conditions we dislike, nor do we need to desperately cling to the conditions we long for. When our hearts are strong enough to generate peaceful and wholesome conditions, corresponding conditions will naturally align. Just as people say, similar sounds resonate, and similar energies attract. More importantly, once we find inner vitality, external values no longer dominate us. Any condition is fine. We simply embrace life with freedom and ease. The Dalai Lama once said, "Remember that sometimes not getting what you want is a wonderful stroke of luck." And there are sayings and maxims we may already know. For example, when life gives you a sour lemon, do not be afraid. Use it to cook or make yourself a refreshing glass of lemonade. If you face something with pessimism and discouragement, then the hardships in your life are exactly those sour lemons. But once you welcome that event with optimism, joy, and an open heart, those hardships will turn into a wonderful glass of lemonade. Whether you frown at the sourness of a lemon or happily enjoy a cool, refreshing drink is entirely up to you. Time may help us grow up, but it does not necessarily make us mature. Only when we stumble and confront the upheavals of life do we gradually become wiser and more knowledgeable. A wise person, when alone, will discipline their own mind and see it as a good opportunity for self-reflection. When interacting with others, such a person knows how to guard their words and sees every encounter as a chance to be humble and learn. Music, a small fragment of the soul, drifts like a wandering cloud, never stopping its sigh. Living dimly, confused, anxious, and fearful on endless paths of life. Joy lies ahead, like green grass and blooming flowers each day. But life is not filled with daily laughter. Our hearts continue to yearn. Happiness is not far away. One peaceful day, calmness returns to the breath. Inhaling and exhaling, pausing to listen to life's pure joy, we discover that true happiness lies within the serene, deep, and boundless heart. A joyful fragment of the soul finds its home right here, enough to end the storms and sorrows. Now, let us practice these 8 words every day to live in health, peace, youthfulness, freedom, longevity, and clarity. First, patience. Patience means enduring and restraining oneself. Patience can cultivate blessings. Everyone will encounter unpleasant, unfavorable situations. In such moments, we must practice patience. Throughout history, those who accomplished great things possessed great inner strength, and those with great strength always had great patience. Patience is not escaping or avoiding. It is a form of accumulating energy. A patient person avoids making impulsive mistakes. Second, kindness. Kindness can nurture virtue. Intelligence may be a gift, but kindness is a choice. Kindness is the most beautiful form of human morality. Being kind may not grant us everything we desire, but it helps us maintain inner peace. Third, joy. Joy can nourish our appearance, our beauty, our expression. A cheerful and delighted mindset is the secret to youth and longevity. People do not stop playing because they grow old. They grow old because they stop playing. A smile is a person's most beautiful ornament and the simplest, quickest way to connect with others. Once, the Buddha was on a pilgrimage with his disciples. The journey had only begun a few days when they passed by a lake. The Buddha said to a disciple, "I am thirsty. Go down to the lake and bring me some water." The disciple went to the lake, but people were washing clothes, and an ox cart had just crossed, making the water muddy. He returned and said, "Master, the water is too dirty. I don't think it is drinkable." Half an hour later, the Buddha asked him to return to the lake again. The disciple obeyed. This time, the water was clear, the mud had settled, and the water above was drinkable. He brought it back for the Buddha. The Buddha looked at the cup of water, then raised his head and said, "See why the water looks like this? When you leave it undisturbed, the mud settles on its own and you will have clear water. Your mind is the same. When it is stirred, simply leave it alone. After some time, it will settle by itself. You do not need to force it to calm down. It will naturally become calm." The Buddha said that peace of mind is a process that requires no effort. When we find inner peace, it radiates outward, spreading around us and into the place where we live. Every day, we face countless frustrations and situations beyond our control. We cannot always stop unpleasant things from happening, so it is better to learn how to live with them and gradually accept them joyfully. Learn to develop patience, tolerance, and generosity. Try to see yourself and others with friendlier, gentler eyes. Do not worry too much about failure. Leave the past behind so you can fully focus on the present moment. Do not reopen unhappy memories and bury yourself in them. Learn to meditate daily. Even just a few minutes of meditation can change our lives. Inner peace will bring outer peace and happiness. An old man once told his child, "Clench your fist tightly and tell me what you feel." The child clenched his hand. When you feel a bit tired, you try to use a bit more strength to see what happens. Yet the more you push, the more exhausted you become. When a little discomfort grows into a suffocating feeling, you finally loosen your grip and you instantly breathe easier, feeling much more relieved. Many times, the tighter you hold on while you are weary, the heavier everything becomes. But when you let go, the burden lightens, doesn't it? Oh, how simple this truth is. So clear that only by releasing can we find ease. Speaking is easy, yet not entirely easy, because it's never simple to move thousands of hearts toward kindness and righteousness. Controlling our words is difficult, yet not too difficult, because as long as we keep a kind heart, we can already be gentle people walking our own path. And that is enough to, and no matter how well you live, someone will praise you and someone will criticize you. No matter how successful you become, someone will speak well of you and someone will judge you. Flowers bloom in hundreds of shapes and thousands of forms, yet they still display their colors and fragrance freely without being hindered. In life, each person has their own way of living, so why not lift each other up instead of trying to pull one another down? What is there to gain from that? Right and wrong, good and bad, all depend on the angle from which one looks. What truly matters is not that we erase our differences, but that amid those differences, we overcome the envy, stubbornness, and competitiveness within our own hearts. Often, human suffering comes from the fear of losing something or someone deeply familiar. When the loss actually happens, people reel in shock, losing their sense of purpose, falling into anguish, unable to accept reality. But in truth, no one can lose what they never owned. Whatever truly belongs to you will always belong to you. Whatever does not belong to you will leave, no matter how tightly you cling to it or how desperately you try to hold it back. When you finally realize that the things you insist on possessing are not absolutely necessary and gradually loosen your demands, relying less on them, you become freer and happier. Love sincerely and wholeheartedly, but never let your peace and happiness depend too heavily on any single person. An experienced teacher grew weary of the constant complaints of his apprentice and decided it was time for a lesson. One morning, he told the apprentice to fetch some salt. When the apprentice returned, the teacher instructed him to put a handful of salt into a glass of water and drink it. "How does it taste?" the teacher asked. "Salty and bitter," the apprentice replied. The teacher smiled, then told him to take another handful of salt and throw it into a lake. The two walked silently to the lakeside, and the apprentice threw the salt in. The teacher told him to drink from the lake. The apprentice scooped up a handful and drank. "How does it taste?" the teacher asked again. "It has no taste," the apprentice said. "Did you feel any saltiness?" the teacher asked. "No," the apprentice answered tea that moment. The teacher gently explained, "The pains of life are like pure salt. Nothing more, nothing less. The quantity of pain in your life remains the same, but the bitterness you taste depends on the vessel in which you place it. So when you suffer, the only thing you can do is expand your capacity. Do not be a glass of water, be a lake." There are people who always feel fear, jealousy, and envy toward who you are and what you have. Some people have no desire for themselves, no ambition, no drive to try anything new. They don't even know how to change, or they simply refuse to change. They will reject all your efforts when you try to help them see differently or live differently. If you keep such people in your life, you may slowly wither along with your dreams, talents, and natural gifts. Decide that your life matters, that your dreams and goals are important, and cannot be compromised or stolen by anyone. It takes courage to build a different kind of life and to distance yourself from those who do not help you become better. You know exactly who they are. Be brave enough to do what you know will elevate you and lead your life forward. Rise to a new level. Don't hesitate, because you deserve it. Life's crowded paths can make our hearts narrow, winding through the twists of the world. Summer sunlight can turn us into deserts, and looking at suffering can numb the soul. I do not expect perfection from anyone, for we ourselves are never complete. We only hope to keep our aspirations alive in our hearts. Living meaningfully in this world means knowing how to love, even with mistakes. If you always think you are right and everyone else is wrong, you will never truly live. Those who know how to live still understand and empathize amid 1,000 differences. In darkness, we still have many flaws, and when we speak impulsively, we should reflect on ourselves. Everyone has their own private joys. Respecting that space can bring people closer, like sunshine spreading evenly, like rain nourishing 1,000 directions, like wind carrying love in every path. Live without stubbornness. Love warmly and sincerely. In life, when successful, many gather around, but in failure, few ask about you. That is life. Even after long absences, genuine care warms the heart. Despite being busy or struggling, remember to cherish loved ones, stay loyal, and never betray them. Emotions in life are like that. If you give false feelings, you will receive emptiness. Only sincerity can touch others. Only adversity can reveal warmth. In times of need, we see true gratitude. No matter what happens, we should forgive but not cover faults. Be sincere in emotions but not blind. If unwelcomed, know when to step back. If unappreciated, learn to turn away. Landscapes unseen are no matter. Feelings unreturned should not be forced. Time should not be wasted on meaningless things. Never entrust your heart to those unworthy. People may look at you often, but few truly understand you. Many may speak of you, but fewer will help. Meetings may be frequent, but trust is rare. Ultimately, tears must be wiped alone, pain borne alone, efforts made alone. Pray for things to go as wished. Hope not to see disappointments, and keep inner peace. Speak when necessary. Remain silent otherwise. That is intelligence. Act wholeheartedly when required. Withdraw when not. That is wisdom. Express when necessary. Retreat when not. That is discernment. People may trust, but do not rely blindly. Accept assistance when offered. Refuse when not. Life unfolds step by step. Feelings form gradually. Life is written page by page. No one's life is without obstacles. No one's life is entirely free of suffering. Keep a positive mindset, and everything will become beautiful. Sometimes, malice can spark conflict, yet a kind word can generate goodness. Advising someone may need countless words, or sometimes just one suffices. Every word must be spoken with care to avoid regret. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. Learning from the good and limiting faults allows anyone to improve. Constantly observing others' merits, admiring or envying is less valuable than looking at oneself and learning sincerely. Instead of scheming for others to fail, silently strive to become stronger yourself. Sometimes, looking back at past frustrations or mistakes reveals they were unworthy of attention. Past pains fade like a passing breeze. Therefore, face situations calmly, without haste or stubbornness. Be a little patient, a little flexible, and nothing is impossible. Accept differences, even when tired, and shift your perspective on life. Under pressure, try changing your environment, position, or path. When sad, adjust circumstances to find joy. When troubled, change your mindset to resolve resentment. Facing challenges, shift your perspective slightly, and you may discover many new possibilities. Preserve trust, share openly with those you believe in, lend money wisely, reveal weaknesses carefully, and avoid causing harm, whether in family, friendship, or love. Everyone fears giving sincerity and receiving betrayal. Trusting someone is like giving your heart fully, so it must be handled with care. Misplaced trust can become a weapon against oneself. To earn trust, first be worthy of it. If you are faithful, people will gravitate toward you. If sincere, life will willingly place its trust in you. No matter how dark your thoughts or moods, remember this truth. Don't write on your face because no one wants to read it. No matter how tiring work is, don't complain. Take a breath instead because no one will do it for you. No matter how poor or miserable the circumstances, one should not complain or feel inferior because no one gives you money for no reason. Even when disappointed, do not collapse. Think of the expectations of your parents and loved ones and keep trying. Even when discouraged, do not give up because the problem is not with the work itself but with yourself, so cherish every choice you make. Even in difficulty, do not grumble because everyone has their own matters and cannot help you. Therefore, be a little stronger and enjoy what you are doing. Even if provoked, do not become pessimistic and lose your will, because no one is born able to solve everything perfectly. You must give your best to every task. Do not rush to think you are alone. In truth, very few people understand what loneliness truly is. Even with family and friends, those who have never experienced life's hardships may still feel lonely. When feeling sadness or exhaustion, learn to comfort yourself. If no one cares, be strong. If no one encourages you, know how to rise on your own. If no one admires you, still maintain cleanliness and dignity. Observe the grass at your feet, the flowers by the road, and the leaves on the trees. Life, though humble, lives beautifully. Life, though impermanent and brief, should not be casually disrespected because no one can buy health. If you have time, watch the river stretch into the distance to relax your spirit. Do not be too harsh with the things around you, because every existence has its own reason. Do not judge others, especially those you do not understand. We only have the right to give advice to those close to us whom we love. When angry, do not speak, because we often regret words spoken in haste. Forgive those who have hurt you, but never give them the chance to repeat the offense. Life, even when arduous, should not make you lose self-confidence, because all that is beautiful lies ahead. Regardless of whether one's qualities are noble or deeply flawed, remember to treat your parents with respect and devotion, because in the future, kindness and compassion nurture the heart. After middle age, some people have gentle, blessed faces, while others show harshness filled with resentment. This is because appearance arises from the mind. When the heart is beautiful, the appearance will follow. Love can cultivate virtue. Those whose hearts are full of love act with love in every gesture. Those who are calculating, even in the best circumstances, often face difficulties. Sincerity is fundamental in relationships. Everyone wants to be treated sincerely, so if you treat others sincerely first, you will receive the same in return. That a person who is honest and pure exudes dignity and beauty. Their eyes shine with light. One must be diligent and hardworking to prosper. The ancients said that heaven rewards diligence, meaning that a hardworking person will be assisted and compensated for losses. Some people earn money quickly, but spend it just as fast, while others know how to save and maintain financial stability. This is because diligence brings prosperity and saving helps retain wealth. Tolerance and generosity gather strength. Those who understand tolerance have broad hearts and do not calculate small gains, nor do they rejoice excessively at minor advantages. Those who are always calculating live, exhausting lives. The ancients said, take a step back, and the sea becomes wider, the sky becomes higher. Sometimes stepping back is actually moving forward. Yielding a step, letting go a little, can gain many friends. A 92-year-old woman, petite and tidy, dresses neatly every morning before 8 o'clock, with stylish hair and carefully applied makeup, even though her eyesight is nearly gone. Today, the husband who had been with her for 70 years has just passed away. She needs to be transferred here. After many hours of patiently waiting in the nursing home lobby, she smiled gently when informed that her room was ready. As she guided her walking frame toward the elevator, I showed her the way to her room, including the perforated papers hung on the window. I like the room, she expressed with the excitement of an 8-year-old receiving a stuffed animal. She hadn't even seen the room yet, but she waited, saying, "Just a moment, dear," as if it didn't matter. Happiness is a choice one makes even before it arrives. Whether we like the room or not isn't determined by the furniture arrangement. It is already in our mind, and we decide we will like it. That is a decision we make. Every morning, we have a choice. We can stay in bed all day, counting the problems of our failing body parts, or we can get up and be grateful for the parts that still work. Each day is a gift. Every day, before closing our eyes, we focus on the coming day and the beautiful memories. She continued to explain, old age is like a bank account. You withdraw what you have deposited. Therefore, I advise you to deposit as much happiness as possible into your memory bank. Thank you for your contributions. My memory bank continues to grow with every deposit. She smiled and continued. Remember these 5 simple principles to live happily. Keep your heart free from resentment, your mind free from worry. Live simply, give more than you expect, and have less music attachment among people. There is only a small difference, but that small difference will determine whether a person fails or succeeds, suffers or finds happiness. That difference is the breadth of one's heart and one's attitude toward life. Once, the Buddha said that humanity could be divided into two types. One type is like a well at a crossroads, available for everyone to use. The other is like a well deep in the forest, rarely used. If others benefit from you, it proves your value. That is why people rely on you. Therefore, we should not fear being used. We should only fear having a narrow heart. No one dares to rely on us if our heart is limited. Our heart is like a road. The more we calculate, plan, and scheme, the more bumpy the road becomes. A wide road cannot compare to a broad heart. A spacious house cannot compare to a broad heart. Good luck cannot compare to a good heart. There's a story about an elderly builder. An old mason had worked diligently and professionally for a construction company for many years. One day, he wanted to retire and enjoy his old age with his family. The company, regretting the loss of an experienced worker, asked him to build one final house before leaving. Reluctantly, he agreed. For this last house, the old mason worked carelessly, choosing cheap materials as long as the exterior looked beautiful. A few months later, when the house was completed, the owner handed him the keys and said, "You have served the company faithfully for many years, contributing to its success. As a reward, we give you the very house you just built." The old mason was shocked. If he had known he was building the house for himself, he would have worked carefully, selecting the best materials. Instead, he had to live in a house whose quality only he knew was poor to in life. Many people are like that old mason, creating a temporary, flashy life without paying attention to its quality. When we reflect on ourselves, we often realize we are suffering the consequences of past mistakes. We are the architects of our own life. Our present life is the result of past construction. Our tomorrow depends on what we build today. So, build your life carefully, correctly, and wholeheartedly. When you silently feel moments of peace amidst the chaos of life, when the noise and confusion fade, the heart suddenly understands the true value of human existence, how fleeting and ephemeral everything is. Then, you can smile gently at life. In this life, have we ever found ourselves in situations where too many opportunities lie before us to choose from? And as human beings, we all desire to be perfect in every way, so we naturally want our choices to be perfect too, to match our sense of self, wanting to be the best and to select the very best. One day, a young student and an elderly teacher were discussing the idea of perfection. The student passionately spoke about his longing to find perfection. The teacher listened attentively and then gently said, "May I ask you to do something?" "Of course, sir. I am happy to," the student replied. "Right in front of us is a lawn. Can you pick for me the most beautiful and perfect blade of grass, with the condition that you may only move forward and cannot step backward?" The student stood up and began searching for the perfect blade of grass. From the very first step onto the lawn, he looked down and saw a lush green blade. He reached out to pluck it, but then paused because his eyes caught sight of many more beautiful blades ahead. He continued, taking a second, third, fourth step, but each time he was about to pick a blade beneath his feet, he saw others in front that seemed more perfect. So he kept moving, striving to find the ultimate blade of grass. Unbeknownst to him, in his pursuit, he had reached the far side of the lawn. At the very last step, faced with only a small patch of grass before him, he had no choice but to pick the most beautiful blade there and return to the teacher, who had been waiting. His face no longer held the excitement it once did, perhaps because he now understood the meaning of what he had just done. Silently, he handed the blade to the teacher. Holding it, the teacher smiled kindly and said, "You see, if you had been content and stopped searching endlessly, you might have found a blade more perfect than this one." Many people's lives are like this. In endlessly searching, they lose wonderful opportunities and later feel regret. Reflect on today's story, my dear. Those who see life as a battlefield will constantly face struggles. Those who see life as a journey will always behold the scenery. Those who see life as a cloud, ever changing in form, will remain calm before life's transformations. Life is indeed like this. There is rarely right or wrong, only acceptance. Happiness or suffering, ease or frustration, all depend on our mindset as we face life, with its sun, rain, and storms. Sometimes, repeated failures teach the value of patience and perseverance. Success often reveals the worth of courage and faith. Meeting many people shows the treasure of sincere friendship. Facing hardships teaches the value of understanding and tolerance. Ambition reveals the importance of detachment and letting go of conflict. Anger and resentment illuminate the worth of inner cultivation and restraint. Encounters with deceit show the value of honesty and simplicity. Learning to forget what brings sorrow and to distance oneself from places and people that diminish us reflects the art of truly living as long as there is tomorrow. Today remains an ideal starting point to move toward true goodness and beauty. Who knows? Perhaps in a cup of tea lies the fragrance of a blooming lotus, or in a mountain breeze, the breath of clear, blue oceans. In your hand, a single piece of paper may capture the stillness of a leaf on a hill. Perhaps a bird carries the longing of a distant heart. Being present in this world, you are connected with all, across lifetimes through countless reunions. When someone carries a deep wound, your soul aches with them. When they smile, your steps move in harmony. Perhaps a warm heart can embrace all the hearts of the world. Not forget those who have helped you. Do not harbor hatred toward someone who once loved you. And never betray the trust of those who give their hearts to you. Practice living in accordance with fate in your relationships with others, sometimes close, sometimes distant. In your tasks, things can be complex or simple. In your feelings, connections can be deep or shallow. Do not expect anyone to treat you specially, nor hope that they will lessen your burdens. In life, some people speak little but act much, while others only make noise without substance. Do not be overly concerned. Focus on managing yourself well, doing what needs to be done, and walking the path you should follow. Preserve your integrity, nurture sincerity, harmonize with others, be strict with yourself, and let the rest follow the natural flow of fate. The Buddha once said, "For those without affinity, no matter how many words are spoken, they are wasted. But for those with connection, merely appearing can awaken all their senses." Some matters, once judged right or wrong, fade into the past. Some people, angry or resentful for just a few days, become part of history. Some pains dissolve with a single smile. Some circumstances, through a little suffering, strengthen one's resilience. Sometimes what seems important today may seem insignificant tomorrow. What is crucial this year may become trivial next year. What is considered a great achievement in this life may be a mere legend in the next. Each of us is, ultimately, just someone's story. Therefore, in life or work, if something displeases you, remind yourself, today will pass and tomorrow will come. Let go of everything to begin anew. In life, some things cannot be controlled. Even if you care deeply, sometimes there is nothing you can do. Life is not only about consequences or results. How you embrace your life is your choice. No one else can decide for you. Once you grow, you will know how to face everything with a smile. Even the tallest tree cannot exist without roots. No matter how harmonious a person seems, one must remember those who lent money when you were poor, supported you in difficulty, shared sweetness when you were happy, cared for you when sick, loved you sincerely even when you had nothing, and patiently guided you when you knew nothing. If you always remember gratitude, you will win the hearts of others, be respected, and live with integrity. What matters in life? If wealth is your center, life will be hard. If children are your everything, you will be exhausted. If love is your sole purpose, you may suffer. If victory is your goal, you will always be unsettled. But if you live with tolerance, you will find happiness. If you take contentment as your standard, you will always be joyful. If gratitude drives you, you will become truly virtuous. Sometimes in life, others may underestimate you because you are too generous. Work may ask little of you, yet you always help. Requests may come, yet you always give. Mistakes are forgiven. Pain is endured. Know that some people, accustomed to receiving, forget gratitude. Being strong does not mean you should not worry. Being generous does not mean you should have no boundaries. Kindness is good, but it must be applied to the right person at the right time. If you constantly sacrifice yourself for others, no one will consider your feelings. Enduring hardship can be a blessing, but one must know how to express it. Otherwise, people will see you as naive. True virtue is not foolishness. Morality is not ignorance. Every person has thoughts, and one must know how to express them to preserve self-respect and the value of one's principles. That a good affinity encompasses many coincidences, but maintaining it requires effort. A true connection is not just about making a first impression, but about staying together over time. Even after knowing each other for a long while, that person still wants to be with you until the end. A true bond is not based on external beauty, but on genuine understanding. They will appreciate your true qualities. A good connection does not lament meeting too late. Despite life's ups and downs, they will still feel that knowing you is a blessing. A true affinity does not need to arrive early. It arrives and stays because both sides know how to cherish and protect it. Treasure sincere friends. To truly value someone is to have once been moved by them. When deciding to part from someone, there is inevitably some disappointment. One cannot judge people by appearances. Only after a long acquaintance can their true nature be seen. Do not hastily judge relationships or friendships. Only through trials can true loyalty and sincerity be revealed. Only when falling into a valley do we see who is rolling stones to block us and who is helping us resist. A sincere friend is someone who can walk with us from the darkest nights to the light, someone willing to shield us from storms, someone who stays until the very end when all others have left. Such affection is precious and rare. Only those who live sincerely will eventually meet true friends. It is not about many words, but about companionship through sunshine and rain. The depth of a relationship is not measured by its length, but by the fact that when needed, one can rely on the other. True loyalty means that if you need me, I will be there. That is what makes affection deep, not empty promises made in moments of pride, but extending a helping hand when it truly matters. On ordinary days, friends may tease or criticize, but in times of hardship, standing together through thick and thin is what makes a friend precious. Those who appear enthusiastic but are inconsistent are not genuine. Only those who remain steadfast when needed are worthy of trust. A good relationship is not bound by time. A beautiful friendship, once it comes, will not leave. If fate allows, it will arrive without invitation. If not, even force cannot make it happen. Those who do not cherish you will turn away despite vows and promises. True friends do not make extravagant promises, but care sincerely. Regarding fate, live wholeheartedly and let the rest follow naturally. With a mindset of following fate, one can live an open life. If you carry a peaceful heart, you will live freely. If you hold compassion, you will do many good deeds. If you nurture gratitude, you will feel happier. Awareness of cause and effect will make your decisions wiser. Knowing when to yield will make life more joyful. Maintaining simplicity allows things to arrive naturally. Practicing daily self-reflection will make you increasingly mindful. The more effort you put in, the more fortunate you become. Happiness does not depend on wealth or status. What matters is the inner laughter. Happiness is not measured by sweet words, but by having someone to share your sorrow and support you when you are weak. The greatest treasure is not material wealth, but those who accompany us. We cannot force others to love us. We can only become worthy of being loved. Bleeding is terrifying, so whether in pain or not, let yourself cry first, then deal with it. Growing up, we realize that sometimes tears hurt more than bleeding itself. In reality, apart from life and death, everything else is minor. From today, no matter what troubles arise, do not blame yourself. No matter how many bad things happen, do not despair, tomorrow still comes. Today is just a transition. Remember, the more you strive, the luckier you become. You will overcome everything. The root of happiness lies in how we think about people and events. Train your mind to cultivate a peaceful, long-lasting life. Life. We inevitably face judgment and ridicule from others. Instead of feeling upset, we can learn to laugh at our own imperfections. This shows confidence in your perfect imperfection. Acknowledging oneself makes progress easier. Disagreeing with others is normal. You do not need to change if your views differ from anyone's. As long as you live without harming yourself or others and feel no shame before your conscience. Some people receive more favors from life than others. This is no one's fault. We must accept this difficult truth. Life is inherently unfair. Strive each day toward your goals. Even if you do not reach your desired destination, at least you have moved forward. They reached a point farther than where you had previously stood. A student was walking alongside a renowned professor known for his kindness. As they walked, they suddenly saw an old pair of shoes lying on the road. Surely the shoes of a poor man working in a nearby field. As he was finishing his work, the student turned to the professor and said, "Let's play a trick on him. We'll hide his shoes and watch how he reacts when he discovers they are gone." "Wait, young man," the professor replied. "We should not take pleasure in the suffering of the poor. You are wealthy and can find amusement in a better way. Here's an idea. Put a coin in each shoe and let's see how he reacts when he finds it." The student followed the professor's advice, and both hid behind a bush near the field, observing the poor man. After finishing his work, he crossed the field to return to where he had left his coat and shoes. As he put his foot into a shoe and felt something hard, he bent down to look and saw a coin. Overwhelmed with surprise, he stared at it, turned it over and over, looked around, but saw no one. Then he placed the coin in his pocket and put on the other shoe, only to be doubly astonished to find another coin. Overcome with emotion, he knelt, looked up to the sky, and gave thanks to some unknown stranger for saving his wife and children from going without bread. The student, tears streaming down his face, was deeply moved. The professor asked, "Would you have felt happier if you had played the prank as you planned?" "Sir," the student replied, "you have taught me a lesson I will never forget. Now I understand the true meaning of giving and receiving happiness, something I had never fully grasped before. To give is to be happy. To receive is to be grateful. Let the vast heavens and earth, in every sunrise, bring sweetness and peace to every cell of body and mind. Awaken quietly, for a single moment can be worth 1,000 years of ignorance. Look at life with the eyes of a child, heart without boundaries, love without restraint. Life, like dewdrops, is fleeting. Let go, sit alone, and grasp the radiant petals reaching toward the sky. 100 years of worries dissolve when one realizes that true happiness and peace reside within. Purify your heart, and from loving intention, flowers of compassion bloom. Love the world, embrace it fully, for countless souls share the same essence as you. Even amidst confusion, one can find a lotus blooming eternally. Pause calmly amid life's chaos and listen to the harmony of earth and sky. Life, like a dream, passes quickly. The essence is caring and letting go. Sing the song of birth and death. The song of truth. One of the greatest human sufferings in life is demanding perfection from others. When we accept the relativity of others' actions, happiness becomes attainable and present. Accepting relativity expands our heart, increases trust in humanity, and reduces dissatisfaction and frustration. The foundation of life is interdependence between people, things, worlds, and lifetimes. No one lives without dying, and nothing dies without being reborn in one form or another. Life is interdependent, so it is relative. No one can live completely independently, and no one is perfect. Absolute living would mean living without death or dying without returning in some form. Absolute living is flawless existence, which only saints may achieve. If you quiet your prejudiced mind and observe those you dislike most carefully, you will discover something fascinating, even in them. there is a search for something truly lovable. Therefore, the unpleasant traits you see in the people you hate are only relatively unpleasant. And when you objectively observe the people you love and cherish most, you will immediately see that they, too, have shortcomings, faults, and many imperfect points. So perhaps the lovable qualities in the people you treasure are also only relatively lovable. When we understand that nothing in life is completely absolute, we will no longer hate or resent too harshly those we feel are not pleasant. When we know that life has no absolute perfection, we can let go and free ourselves from blind passions and emotional behaviors like when I love, even flaws look perfect. In short, when we have an objective view of reality, we will feel comfortable when encountering ideas or people who are pleasant or unpleasant. Humans have always imprisoned themselves in the self-created jail of love and hate, of absolute expectations. We are imperfect, yet we demand everything around us to be absolute, and that is the reason we suffer. Once you awaken to this truth, let me ask you, who can help you live happier, think more positively, and behave more objectively? There is only one person, yourself. And if we constantly remind ourselves that nothing in life is completely absolute, we will feel light and at ease in all relationships. Happiness only begins to bloom when we change the way we see from within. Happiness only comes when our heart truly opens. There's a story like this. Long ago, there was an old man who laughed and sang all day long. Curious, someone asked him why he was always so cheerful. The old man replied, "Heaven created all beings, buffaloes, dogs, goats, horses. Humans are the highest, the most intelligent among all creatures. To be born human is my first happiness. Heaven also created people who are disabled, blind, lame. I am fortunate to be whole and healthy. That is my second happiness. People often suffer because of wealth and fame. I have enough to eat, 3 meals a day, with nothing to worry about. That is my third happiness. Birth, aging, sickness, and death are unavoidable. I will die like everyone else, so why should I worry about death? Thinking of the 3 blessings I have, it is natural that I sing and rejoice. Why even ask? I suddenly realize how illusionary I am. This body is but dust of the world. In the dream of life, I sleep, binding myself in the dust of impermanence. I become still in each breath, calming the mind to find myself again, to retrieve what I have lost, to understand that I am not what the world thinks I am in life. There are 3 essential keys: acceptance, change, and letting go. If you cannot accept something, change it. If you cannot change it, then let it go. The optimist often uses a smile to cover unpleasant things. The pessimist only knows how to complain and forgets the joy of being alive. Within each person's heart, there is a key to joy, but many people do not know how to hold it for themselves and instead hand it to others. A woman keeps complaining, "I live in misery because my husband is always away from home." She has placed the key to her joy in her husband's hands. A mother says, "My son never listens, and he makes me angry all the time." She has given the key to her joy to her son. A middle-aged man sighs, "My boss won't promote me, so I've lost my spirit." He has stuffed the key to his happiness into the hands of his boss. An elderly woman laments, "My daughter-in-law is not filial. My life is so miserable." All these people have made the same decision. They allow others to control their emotions. When we permit others to govern our mind and feelings, we feel like victims, unable to do anything except blame and resent them. That becomes our only choice. When we blame others, we send the message, "I suffer because of you. You must be responsible for my misery." At that moment, we hand over the responsibility of making us happy to someone else. We seem to admit that we cannot control ourselves and can only depend on someone else's arrangement and control. People like this often make others reluctant to be close, because when they appear, all we see is complaint and anger that a person who firmly holds the key to their own happiness will not wait for others to make them happy. On the contrary, they will even have the ability to bring joy to others that a person whose mind is stable knows how to take responsibility, does not blame others, masters their emotions, and knows how to create their own joy and preserve it for themselves. Therefore, such a person is always relaxed and cheerful in both work and life, not burdened by the pressures of others. Your life is determined by yourself. The path you take is your own choice. Life is like the sun. Sometimes it shines brightly, and sometimes it turns dark. In human life, in the end, there are only a few minutes to smile and a brief moment to love. Life is neither long nor short. It is precious, so it should be cherished. When something must be let go, release it. Some people we cannot forget because there was never a debt to be resolved. Others we must forget because they are not worth remembering. Do not trust your eyes too much, for sometimes what you see is only what you wish to see, and the things you dislike are often overlooked. Ordinarily, when people are about to reach happiness, they feel joy and excitement. But once achieved, they become anxious and uneasy. Nothing in life is absolute. There is always balance. The more you gain, the greater the responsibilities that accompany it. Encounters and partings are all matters of fate. Accepting them brings the greatest peace. When young, happiness is simple. When grown, true happiness lies in living a simple and virtuous life. To live a meaningful life, practice good deeds, and love wholesome things. Meditation always brings happiness, both to yourself and others. Life is a long path with countless choices, and we must keep choosing. Opportunities do not repeat. Once a choice is made, do not regret it. Sometimes, it is fate or karma that guides our choices and binds us to what we have chosen. Few people in life have never failed, but if one falls and cannot rise again, the rest of life will likely be filled with regrets that have few reflections. Wealth is meant to be spent. Having enough is a blessing, but too much becomes a source of worry. A house is meant to provide shelter. Do not let it become a burden, whether large or small. Where a person feels at home is what matters. It is not about flowers or long grass, but the place itself. Vehicles are for transportation, not for showing off. What you drive is irrelevant as long as you travel safely and happily. Fame and status are the results of effort and cultivation, not privileges. Moderate status is a blessing. Too much fame or power brings unrest. Food nourishes the body and can also be medicine. Do not waste it. Eating just enough is nourishing. Overeating harms the body. Ultimately, a person realizes what matters in life. Life does not need to be excessively wealthy. What matters is that each day is meaningful. Happiness does not come from comparing with others, but from feeling joy with a kind and steady heart. Happiness does not come from outside, but from within each person. Humans are simple, yet formidable. A kind heart can forgive everything, while a cruel heart can harm countless lives. Being overly cunning drives others away. Being excessively harsh causes resentment. Insisting on winning at everything can ultimately destroy relationships and degrade oneself. Therefore, when dealing with wealth and personal gain, it is wise to remain simple to preserve harmony. In conflicts, a little simplicity ensures a clear conscience. In disputes over fame and profit, a little simplicity avoids mental exhaustion. Regarding rumors, a little simplicity prevents unnecessary trouble. No one is perfect. Each person has their own style. Some may admire you, some may envy you, and others may be unwilling to accept your success. But deep down, as long as you do not entangle yourself in trivial conflicts, life remains peaceful. Truly wise people do not live being excessively cunning, constantly scheming. They act with clarity and integrity. Sometimes it is wise to act a little naive in order to preserve kindness and avoid endless struggles in a short life. Knowing how to be content and satisfied allows one to navigate the busyness of life with ease. Being slightly naive brings freedom, keeping a bit of sincerity, because scrutinizing the faults of others while failing to improve oneself is unwise. Blaming others' shortcomings while neglecting one's own is never right. Judging others with one's own mind, no one is perfect. Deliberately cornering an opponent cannot force them into a dead end. it only harms oneself, leaving no way to retreat. Constantly observing the world's right and wrong achieves nothing and only wastes one's own time. Those who are too controlling will have no friends. Excessive selfishness only brings fatigue. Only love creates meaningful bonds. Only compassion can embrace the world. When you have time, sit quietly and reflect on your own mistakes. When free, refrain from commenting on the world's affairs. Words, though not directly harmful, can easily create negative karma. Nothing is greater than the sin of slander, so be careful with your speech. Avoid speaking of things that do not exist. Even in jest, maintain limits. When criticizing others, retain a degree of moral restraint. When scolding, do not be overly harsh. Keep a measure of tolerance. Even if justified, do not push someone to the edge. Retain forgiveness. When handling matters, avoid excessive harshness. Allowing room for others creates opportunities for oneself. Empathy towards those around you fosters personal generosity. A tolerant person is one who treats life with a kind heart. A person of character always acts with respect towards others. True cultivation is reflected in a gentle attitude toward everyone and thinking of others, which earns respect in return. Treating everything lightly brings inner peace. If you do not compete or seize, you'll have no fear or worry. Nurture kindness in daily relationships. Everything unfolds according to its karmic connection between people. If you regard someone as a saint, they will show their goodness. If you see them as evil, they will appear frightening. Like a mirror, if you smile, you see a joyful face. If you frown, you see sadness. Among friends, the same principle applies. Respect and consideration bring courteous and gentle responses. Disdain or yelling invites resentment. Therefore, in life, treat friends with sincerity, family with loyalty, lovers with compassion. Maintaining a kind-hearted intention when interacting with others will be felt and reciprocated. Inner goodness naturally elevates life quality. A kind heart radiates outward, leading to positive outcomes. What is truly important in life? Some say it is cars, houses, and money, yet many sacrifice health and peace of mind chasing these, only to lose them in the end. Others value status, position, and fame, but pursuing power or prestige daily leads to endless struggles. When attention fades, these things hold no meaning. After death, wealth, status, and fame cannot accompany us. The rich and poor, the highborn and lowborn, all return to dust. Therefore, none of these truly matter. Living well each day is what matters. Maintaining health, eating properly, sowing seeds of goodness, finding joy, and nurturing meaningful relationships. When we lose sight of this, the sounds of children laughing may become annoying. A careless word can spark anger or hurt, and small matters can overwhelm us. We begin to scrutinize others, comparing faults and criticizing, as if this comforts our uneasy minds. Yet does pointing out others' faults or piling criticism like trash improve our lives? Or does it only make us appear petty to friends and colleagues? Someone once said that trying to find fault in others is like bringing garbage into your own home. Carrying negative thoughts in our mind is nothing but inviting more suffering into a life that is already so short. After all, no one knows the future. No one knows when death will call our name. Therefore, don't waste your time judging the faults of others. Don't stubbornly hold on to those old, worn-out lenses anymore. Let them go so that life can appear more beautiful and happiness can come more fully into your view. Didn't the ancients teach that if we always see the mistakes of others but fail to recognize our own, it is not wisdom but unhappiness itself? How life unfolds for a person in this world is something outsiders can never truly understand. That's why, no matter who you are, you should not casually judge others or life itself. There are many things you need to know as soon as possible so that your own life will not be exhausting or disheartening. Don't be concerned about what people say behind your back. They're the ones who dig into the mistakes of your life instead of correcting their own. Accept the reality that others have the right to criticize, but you're under no obligation to agree with everything they say. Live the life you love, as long as you harm no one. Ignore the mockery or slander of others, even your own parents. Follow the guidance of your heart. Forge it into steel, pursue your passions, and start acting. Show others that they were wrong. The hardest thing in life is to truly understand who you are. In a world that constantly tries to turn you into someone else, being true to yourself is the greatest achievement you can have. In fact, people rarely reflect on right and wrong clearly through reason. Humans often act according to emotions, biases, and their own vanity. If you don't allow it, no one can make you feel worse than you are. We always tend to see what we like, those we love, through rose-colored glasses, and conversely, view what we dislike, or those we are not fond of, through dark, negative lenses. In reality, it's not that the world is inherently flawed or that others are so wrong. The problem lies within our own mind. When we look at life with a mind full of negative emotions and prejudices, we see everyone as flawed and everything as hurtful. Everyone is born responsible for their own life. If you only live to please others, you'll never find yourself. Life has been given to you, so strive to live it without wasting time. Live and let go of all the gossip and superficial judgments of the outside world. How others live, the path they take, those standing outside will never truly understand. Therefore, no one has the right to comment on them, because they have never truly been in their shoes. They will never be able to feel it. Perhaps you are more rational than them. Perhaps their difficulties seem insignificant to you, but you cannot use your own perspective to criticize. The same goes in every situation. You should not speak in absolutes. Examine matters without being overly subjective. Sometimes you need to understand and view things from another's perspective. There was once a pig, a sheep, and a cow locked together in the same pen. One day, the owner grabbed the pig. The pig screamed violently and resisted fiercely. The sheep and cow were irritated and angry at the pig's cries, saying, "You're overreacting. He often comes to catch us too, but we don't scream like that." The pig replied, "He doesn't catch you for the same reason he catches me. He only takes your wool and milk, but he takes me for meat." The sheep and cow fell silent. This story shows us that people in different positions or living in different circumstances will find it very hard to truly understand one another, understanding the feelings of others. If we can stand in someone else's position to view a situation, we will understand why they act the way they do. This brings us closer, aligns more with the truth, and makes human relationships warmer and more harmonious. In this way, misunderstandings and conflicts are reduced. Gaining a friend is like losing an enemy, isn't it? Every outcome in this world does not happen without cause. Everything has its reason. Everyone's life contains joys, anger, love, and sorrows that others cannot possibly know. Some people, without understanding the full picture, hastily criticize others. This is because they do not know the reasons behind actions. Before criticizing anyone, one must first understand the story behind it. If we judge without seeing the full truth, we may inadvertently hurt others. If we switch positions, we will realize that the world does not revolve around us alone. Each person is unique, and they all have their own stories. Everyone is the main actor in their own world, whether their story is smooth or tragic. Each individual must go through experiences unlike anyone else's, whether sorrowful or joyful. Life is impermanent, and everyone has their own tears and pains. Learn to receive, empathize, and treat each person fairly. Here is a true story. A doctor, after receiving a phone call, rushed to the hospital to perform surgery. The boy's father, a patient, lost control and shouted at the doctor, "Why are you late? Don't you know my son is in critical condition? Don't you have any sense of responsibility?" The doctor calmly smiled and apologized, saying, "I wasn't at the hospital earlier. I just received the call and rushed here immediately. Please calm down, sir. Calm down. Your son is in the emergency room. Can you be calm? What will you do if your son dies?" the doctor asked. The boy's father, enraged, shouted at the doctor, who continued to smile calmly and replied, "I will quietly pray. We all come from dust and return to dust. Prayer is God's word. Please pray for your son. The boy's father, angry, thought such words could only come from someone insensitive to others' lives. That a few hours later, the surgery was successful. The doctor happily stepped out of the operating room and told the boy's father, "Thank the heavens, your son has been saved." The father, unable to respond because the doctor quickly left, asked, "Why did he leave so arrogantly without even giving me a few minutes to ask about my son's condition?" The father turned to the nurse, who was slightly teary-eyed, and she explained, "Yesterday, the doctor lost his own son in an accident. When we called him to perform surgery on your son, he was on his way to his son's funeral. Now that your son has been saved, he must return to complete his own son's funeral. We sincerely thank you for taking your precious time to follow and support the Spiritual Buddha Dharma channel over the past time. Your attention and support are a tremendous encouragement to us. To not miss the latest videos, please subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell. This will help you easily update yourself with meaningful and beneficial Buddhist teachings to enhance your spiritual life. We hope to continue receiving your companionship in the upcoming videos. Sincerely, thank you.